All right.
Let's go.
Ready to dive in?
I'm so ready.
You can say. Absolutely, because you're jumping on too.
Pull up a chair.
Pull of it. So who are you?
Who am I? I'm Abdiel.
I don't know who that is.
You want me to tell you like my life story or something?
You can answer the question however you want.
Okay. Um, well, I'm Mexican first and foremost. I was born in Mexico,
Where?
Mexico City. So I can say that I'm Mexican. I know some people like to say like, "Oh, I'm from this place," but they're really not. They were born here. It is what it is. That's their background.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Mexican. I came here when I was, well, no, 11.
How old are you now?
I'm 24. Just turned 24. Came here when I was 12, 11, 12, like between that. I was actually in Whitby at first. Um, we were renting a house, like very small house. And then we moved when I was going into grade 8 to Curtis, pretty far area right beside Oshawa.
Yeah.
And yeah, haven't left since. And now I'm here.
But now you're in Ajax, you said?
No, Curtis.
Oh, okay. You drove all the way from Curtis.
Every day. Every day. I hit that Ajax traffic every day.
Why did you seek out employment at the gym? What was the interest there?
I've always been like an athletic individual.
Yeah.
Like I played basketball in like Mexico. Like I started when I was like 6. So like I've always been like in that like fitness kind of space. And then eventually, um, after high school, like after like I was done with sports, not by choice, but just because like I needed to focus on school. My parents wanted me to focus on school. Um,
You didn't want to.
I didn't want to.
Why?
Um, I had other plans for myself, but my parents were big on.
Hold on. What are those plans? Let's hear some of those plans.
Well, again, like I said, like I wanted to be. Um, when I was a kid, like my dream was like, oh, I want to go to like NBA or something. And like a kid from Mexico, like that's like unheard of because like everyone wants to be a soccer star,
Okay.
you know? So I wanted to, stay in the basketball scene, like just do my best, maybe like play like higher up in Mexico, eventually make my way over. Essentially like reality did hit me, like where it's like, okay, that's probably not gonna happen. Not saying that it couldn't have happened, but I also realized like I didn't have as much resources or even the support to really like make that happen.
Resources being financial, what?
Financial, that was obviously like a big one, right? Also just the like in Mexico, like I said, it's not a big thing. So like basketball teams are not as big as like when I first moved to Canada, where it was like, oh my God, like rep, triple A, double A, single A, OBA, like all that kind of stuff that wasn't provided to me. Right. And that was like okay, like whatever. I was gonna figure something out. But my parents were uh, not just my parents, family in general. They were big on like, okay, you should go to school, you should go get a degree, you should, do this and that. Mainly because I also don't come from like I like to say that I don't come from like you know, everyone starts off a certain way.
Yeah.
I didn't start off like, the greatest way. If anything, we were like struggling.
What
So
do you mean?
like,
Say more about that.
yeah. So actually, the only one that is actually would be making like more of a good living by today's standard would be like my grandma on my mom's side. We were renting actually one of her houses. My dad was, and the salary in Mexico when it comes to engineers compared to like how it is now, which is how he got the opportunity, is like so bad. It's like trash. So imagine living on like that really bad income on like pesos, like pesos. Um, and you have to support like obviously my mom, me, eventually my sister came along and my brother, but it was obviously not greatest like conditions, right? In that scenario, Mexico's a great place, don't get me wrong, but it's just like we didn't really start like off of a great start. We did have a lot of support with like my grandma. She like helped me go to like a great school. Same with like my siblings and everything. But when I know like what it's like to really, kind of buckle down, especially in like a family setting, that I don't even think my siblings get to see because they pretty much grew up once we were here, really, right? Like my sister was what, like 5 or something like that. And my brother was barely 2 or 3. So like my even my parents have a like understand like okay like Abdul has seen like kind of both sides of things like you know what I mean.
Yeah, and what does that feel like?
It's pretty cool. Obviously, right, you kind of get to see like a whole process from like when you first kind of have this idea of like, oh, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, and then you eventually get to a point where like you can, right. um
Did someone tell you you can't, or you just realized one day that it was like, okay, well, now I need to explore different options
well, what do you mean?
for your career outlook, or for before your family decided to move, you said from Mexico to here, Mexico City to here. Were you exploring alternative options for you as an individual?
um at first, if anything, I got more encouraged
Oh,
to kind of have that same like uh path that I had for myself. I I think like I knew it wasn't gonna be like obviously like, oh, I'm gonna just make my way all the way through and I'm gonna have my dream come true, right?
mm,
I knew that wasn't gonna happen. It just not attainable, and I understood that, but I knew I was still wanted to be in that like same space. You know what I mean? So when I moved to Canada, it's like the bigger opportunities came along. So I was like, oh my gosh, now I like now I get to be in this space like where I couldn't have been back in Mexico. And it was very encouraging, right? But then again, as like time goes on and going into high school and then you prepare to like everyone expects you to like, oh, like where are you going after high school, like what are you doing in college or university or something, right? That's where like my parents were like, okay, like what's going on. It wasn't more so like, okay, you have to do this, but it was just a lot of repetition of like, oh, I would you should be going to college. I would love for you to go to college, or if you, in this case, university. College wasn't even like they didn't even mention it.
what did that feel like to have those types of conversations with your parents?
It sucked. At first, I wasn't like um very happy about it.
Did you express that?
No,
No, so you withheld
yeah,
exactly how you were
I would
feeling.
health a lot like before. I would say like because of just the way I grew up, and obviously my parents have changed over time, but just from that uh time to like how I am now, there was a lot of growth that I needed to do that I did in order for me to like actually be like, okay, like this is not like what I want, this is what they want, and like I should say something about it.
And so you did end up saying
And so
something
I
about it.
did end up saying something.
How did you approach that conversation?
Um, I like to be very straightforward. I build up myself to be very straightforward.
It's good.
Um, so essentially it was more so like, yeah, I don't really want to do this. I told them like straight up. Um, if anything, they were more so pushing for a plan,
Mm.
right? Which is still like a bit of some pressure here and there because they're like, what are you gonna do? Like, what's going on here? And when is this gonna happen? Or when, or like they have like expectations
Mhm.
set for me. And especially also being like the oldest child, right? Um, that was like, yeah, that definitely like hit me a little different.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was I handle it way better.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. So what do you mean it hits you different now versus before. How do you, I guess, respond to or cope with those types of emotions?
Before I would like have this sense of like I don't want to disappoint them
Wow.
kind of thing.
So living for them in a way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was definitely hard kind of just trying to get out of it because it is a cycle of like once I did become aware and I knew like I'm like, yo, I can't be doing this anymore. um I catch myself like doing it and I'm like, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. And then I do it again and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Give an example. Like, what's something you noticed, as you say, you were aware of it, and you're like, oh, you caught yourself, and you said, I need to change this.
For example, like school wise,
Oh,
that was
okay,
like the
the
main
main one.
thing, the main one, right? It was like let's say it was my first year. Actually, my first year was a COVID year. So it was like it wasn't the greatest experience. I had expectations for myself there. And it sucked. But my parents were like, you know, how's school going? How's this? Oh, you're doing great. And they're thinking like, nah, he's working towards like something.
Right.
Meanwhile, like I'm like telling them like, oh yeah, I have class at this time or whatever. But sometimes they don't know like, okay, like I'm having to work like a lot of the time in order to pay for that class, like school.
You paid your
Yeah, I paid the whole thing. My parents does not spend a penny on my school. It was all me. Um, but you know, me having to go through like all those stages, extra stages, and then having to go to class, and then I hate the class, but I don't tell them that. And I just find it like so boring.
what program were you in?
I was doing business,
Okay.
which like business itself, it's not like boring to me, right? I like the sales aspect of it,
Okay.
obviously. um, but just in general, like just the classes, like I don't know if it was the school, I don't know if it was just the way I am. Uh, I've never been like a big school person per se. I like to be active.
I hear that a lot. What does that mean? Like when you say that, what are you saying? What is Abdiel saying when he says, I'm not really a school person? What does that mean?
I don't like to sit down and just like listen to a professor like tell me about something.
Okay.
If anything, I like them to show me what that something is, right? How it works, like, and demonstrate it. Uh, and whereas like school, I think nowadays there's still that problem of like, you go to school and you got to take out your book and then you have to read, and then your teacher's just reading his slides or the book that you're also gonna have to read for homework. um, and it's just so boring. I'm like, what am I I'm paying like $10,000 for this? Are you serious? So yeah, I don't like that. I like, for example, like if we're when I got into sales and we're doing like a sales training, it's like I literally am doing like a script, like role playing with someone, right? Then I'm actually actively doing something, practicing that, and then you know getting feedback, and then learning from it, and then doing it again,
Mhm.
and then getting like real time, like talking with people, and then doing it. I think that's why I just kind of fell into that like whole like sales part of the business. Um, but yeah, that's like I did not like how they kind of came about it, right?
Mhm.
So,
What drives you?
I will say there's obviously some financial component to it.
Of course, but you talk about the interest in sales and business. So when you, whether it's going to sleep or before going to sleep or when you wake up in the morning, what's really pushing you to move forward?
I would say obviously financial. Financial is a pretty big part. Obviously because of like where I came from, didn't
Mm.
have a lot of it, so that's a big thing. Family.
Yeah, actually, let's suspend what I just asked because now I think that's more interesting. So when you describe where you came from and that whole transition, uh, that to me is something that I'm not familiar with, obviously, and I imagine many people are not familiar with. So when you say it in such a nonchalant way and just brush over it, to me, there's so much more there because I imagine you're 24, you said?
Yeah.
I imagine there are some deep rooted experiences and emotions through that transition that you could probably tell us about hours on end.
Oh, 100%.
Can you share one, maybe just one sort of scenario or situation that you found yourself in that really pushed you?
I will say like before, I think this is such a very simple thing to a lot of people out there, but a big thing is just like literally going out to like a fast food restaurant. Like, to me, that is, like, such a big thing, right? Only because, like, back then, let's say it was just, like, me and my mom, I was a little kid, right? And then my sister came along and everything, and it was like, we weren't really going out that much. If anything, there was, like, barely going out. Like, we would, like, maybe put on a movie, sit on the couch together. Obviously, we still have some family time, but, um, it was like, oh, like, you see, like, a lot of your friends, like, oh, they're going to, like, Burger King. I don't know, something like
Right.
as an example. And then they're having like their party there, right? Or and as a kid, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. I'm invited. I get to go to this, right? Because I don't get to do it all the time,
Right.
right? And now it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm here and I can literally just walk down the street and go to like to whatever place. I still find that like joy into that little like just a little action of,
Yeah.
like, me just gonna go grab, like, a coffee.
So you're saying the convenience or the freedom of just being able to do that so freely, like,
Yeah, having without having a setback, right? Because obviously, like, before it was like, "No, like, Abdel, we can't do this, and you have to understand." And I did understand, right? Maybe not as much, like, when I was, like, 9 or 10, right?
Mhm.
Because I was just a kid, but, I think I had to grow up a little faster just from being in that stage for so long.
Mhm.
That it made me realize, like, a lot of things and, like, made me grateful, if anything, which I'm
Mhm.
thankful for. Um, so, like,
Did it make you feel any resentment toward your parents?
oh, no.
No.
No, not at all. Well, if we talk about resentment, that may be, like, in other areas.
Okay, sure, sure.
But in that specific, like, scenario, no.
No.
No, not at all because if anything, it just made me, like, even more thankful to them.
Yeah, so it was acceptance of the situation and then recognizing that you were grateful for what you actually had in front of you.
Exactly.
But then when you say when you came here and then it was so freely available, you still feel um, sort of that whole new experience each time you go to a fast food place. The fact that you're able to do that and not really think about it the same way you might have when you were back in Mexico City.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you think people understand that when you describe it to me? Yeah, so I'm trying to process it. I really am. But do you think people really can grasp that unless they've actually lived through that?
I don't think they can as easily. Maybe they can like learn to an extent, but like a lot of people wouldn't really know like how hard it can be at certain times um in their life when they're like not in a position to like do certain things, have certain things, right? Or enjoy certain things.
Mhm.
So it's definitely easier when like you have lived through it. That's
Mhm.
why like um I like to ground myself.
You like to ground yourself. Say more about that. What do you mean?
Well, because I think, obviously, again, I've lived through like that.
Yeah.
And I've also, been given the opportunity to be here and grow. And we have grown, like, not just me, but like my family. And we've really, kind of did like a whole boom. Cause like compared to like um Mexico to here, it's like two completely different worlds, right? And even like when we do go back, the fact that like my family is like, they don't, like, say it, and they don't have to say it, but you do feel some sort of, like I don't know how to explain it, like a wow or like a wow that it's really cool. Like we are one of the few in the family that kind of like has spread out and like has grown in a certain way, and not only like has been able to like get out of like, I guess you could say like a lifestyle or just whatever, but like maintain that and be able to, come back to the family and still be like thankful for just having a good times with family and everything else like that.
Mm.
Um, so for me, I always like to remember like my grandma. I think that was a big part of it. Both my grandmas, my grandparents. I was lucky to have both of them, both sides in my life still. Um, but yeah, like just having that like recollection of the memories and everything, just and not getting too, I guess, like into like now today's standards or
Mm.
today's like problems or today like things like that. When I like to think back like, well, we worry about like, I don't know, like what's a worry today? Like, oh, I don't have time for this. Whereas like before, it's like, oh my gosh, like the fact that I'm so busy and I have things going on in my life. Get what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like it's such a blessing.
What did that experience feel like, though? If you were to characterize it, if you can, how would you describe it?
Um,
To me, to someone that's I haven't experienced that, so I don't. I can listen to you and try to relate, but I can't.
what's a good way to explain it?
Like, was it sad at times? Was it frustrating? Was it like I don't know what emotions you might have been experiencing.
I wouldn't say it's sad. It was more uh it was more happy than anything. It was
Wow.
more like it was enjoyment. It was like um a really nice feeling of happiness of like seeing like you and your loved ones like kind of grow together into like how we are now. And again, it might not be where we want to be, but it's like 100 times better to how it was. And when you look at it that way, you're like, it's like such like a wow, like you wow yourself almost like, you ever done something you didn't think you could do?
Yeah.
That's exactly the feeling afterwards that hits you like, wow, I really like that just happened. Like I just did that. It's almost like a shock. Like like to an extent, right?
Mm.
Because you don't really know like what you're capable of, and then it hits you, and then like you've seen like all these memories kind of go by to what it is now. And then you get like you almost feel like a nice little sense of peace as well. Because then you don't like it's not too much of a worry because now you see like the progress that you've made, and it's just like it's enjoyment, really.
Wow. It's just interesting to me to notice how like my response like was negative. I immediately went to the negative, and yours was optimistic, encouraging, positive. Like you truly did respond with the cup glass half full, not half empty like I did. And that just shows like because I've never experienced that specific um upbringing. I can't even begin to understand it. So I think that's just an interesting reflection on how, yeah, like I immediately went to, I said sadness. I said, yeah, I just find it fascinating. Yeah. And that is a very powerful tool to have because you can now take that and apply that to all areas of your life. So kudos to you to be able to do that because I certainly couldn't do that at your age. So that to me is very fascinating that you're doing that. We're going to take a break because I want Kiana to actually get into the next part of this. So we'll be back. Okay.